Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. We proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am your host for today's show, which is Iconic Women. We celebrate women who are change makers, role models, influencers, and leaders around the world. Today's guest is coming to us through Creative Edge and Mickey Mickelson. Thank you, Mickey, for your continued partnership. My guest today is wonderful. She has done so many things in the world of creating community, bringing understanding and knowledge. As a peace ambassador, I really appreciate the work that she's doing. It's about finding ways to communicate through different methods and mediums, as opposed to celebrating things that we can't control. Let's celebrate things that we can by coming together. Her name is Edwina Perkins, and let me bring her out and do her official proper introduction. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. I just want to share with our audience that you have done and are doing so many things as a managing editor for Harambee Press. I said it wrong. It's Harambee.
Harambee.
Harambee. We practiced. I got it wrong. Okay. It's an imprint of the Endgame Press and co-director of the Blue Ridge Mountains Writers Conference and Mentoring Moments coordinator of Blue Ridge Mountains Writers Conference. You're also an advisory board member with Word Weavers International, manager for sensitivity between the lines. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And thank you for allowing me to come. I'm excited about our time together.
I am as well. So Edwina, you know, our show is Iconic Women. So when you hear those two words, iconic and women put together, what comes up for you?
Women who make a difference. That's my first thought, is when I heard those two words put together, is where are these women? And there's so many of them who've made a difference, either through quietly in their actions or very boldly in their words. So when I think of iconic women, I think of people like Maya Angelou, who's had such an impact in the writing community. So that's what I think about.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it. So with the work that you're doing, you've touched so many lives in many different ways. And for people who are not familiar with the work, can you please give a general overview and then we'll dive more into it?
Okay, I have worked in publishing industry for about 15 years. And what I do is advocate for marginalized people who are writers. There's a lot of people whose stories need to get out there and they're not. But it's also what I like to do is educate, answer questions. I feel like sometimes I'm a bridge between the publishing world, those who write, and those who are in charge. So that's a good amount of what I do. I help writers, I edit for them, I coach them. I often say, I'm working myself out of a job if you learn and practice all the things that I'm teaching you.
And as great leaders, that's what we really want. We want people coming forward and taking their skill set and their knowledge and putting it out into the world to help other people. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that really says a lot about you as a person. Sometimes people will want to keep everything close to the vest, and they're kind of in a control methodology or mindset where it's like, no, you can't go past me. But that's not who you are, and that's not what you're doing. I think that's really beautiful.
Yes, I love the idea of, I call it championing those who are writers, those who want to know more about the industry. I just like to lift them up and allow them to fly. And if we don't come, next to or beside someone who doesn't quite understand what's going on, then how are they going to succeed? I think of the people who went ahead of me and the things that I've learned and the coaches that I've worked with. So that's what I love to do, is champion people in the industry.
Edwina, what I found, and I love your thoughts on this, is by expressing ourselves through word, by writing a book, by writing prose, whatever it might be, we get to express ourselves. And sometimes we do it for ourselves, and sometimes we are creating something that really is of value to others. So when someone comes to you and they're maybe a first-time author, or even someone in the conferences, and they say, I'd like to write something, but I don't have the confidence, how do you help them?
I usually tell them, just start writing. Whatever it is that's in your heart, just start writing. Don't think about editing. Don't think about anything else. But the main thing is, you have to think about, who is your audience? Who are you writing to? And who are you writing for? That's what's different, because an audience that you're writing for needs something from you. An audience that you're writing to feels like they're being talked to. So I say the first thing you have to do is write, because you can't do anything with a blank page.
That's right. And I think that that's the most difficult part sometimes, is we see the blank page, even if it's on a computer and we're typing it. I know sometimes I'm doing old school still, writing things, which I think is really therapeutic. So once someone starts the writing process, sometimes people get writer's block, right? They're just kind of stuck. What can you do to help them in this area?
When you get writer's block, the whole idea is, you have to look at it as, it's not really a block. If you think about it, doctors can't get doctor's blocks. Dentists can't get dentist blocks. So if you're a writer, you have to see, how can you move forward? So some of the things I say is, do something totally different. If you're writing fiction, try to write some nonfiction. If you write nonfiction, try to write some fiction. Do something to elevate your creative side. And that is what I think will help. Talk with other writers, see what they do when they get stuck. And sometimes you just have to walk away for a little bit, and that's okay. Just don't stay away.
That's a great line. I love that. Don't stay away. And as authors, we have innate within us, whether we know it or not, the gift and responsibility of storytelling. And you are also a master storyteller. Tell us about your book, The Colors of Home.
I'm so excited about this book because it deals with so many issues. It deals with grief, leaving the only home you've ever known, how to raise 3 children after your husband has died, and moving to a community that you really don't know much about. And what I love about Ebony, who's the main character, is she is struggling to find out who she is now. She's a strong woman, but at the same time, she pushes people away. And everyone keeps telling her, stop pushing people away, because she feels like she has to do it all since her husband's died. And because her children are biracial, and she's moved into small town North Carolina, she deals with a lot of issues with that. And the youngest child, Destiny, has Down syndrome. So she deals with issues there. So the main thing I want people to walk away once they read The Colors of Home is realizing that in order to have a family, in order to be a part of a community, we have to work together. And it's going to be messy. It's not going to be perfect. May not get it right, but you still have to try.
Thank you for sharing that, Edwina. And I think it's so timely that you're here today and we're talking about this, because there's so much going on in the world where we are really, as humans, just divided in so many ways. And so this is not a show on politics. This is on iconic women. But through the written word and through the work that you're doing, you can help bring people together so that they can realize there is the ability to heal. But it starts within. And I'd love to have you address, what has your journey been that led you here today to write the book?
My journey started actually when I was young, in, let me think, third or fourth grade. And I realized that some of the kids in my neighborhood didn't want to play with me because I had white friends. And I didn't understand that. And so through my life, I have been looked at as different for several reasons. So my parents had always taught me it's not the skin color that makes the person, it's the character. And that's how I treated others, but I wasn't always treated that way. So at one point in college, I just cried out to God and I said, I feel like an island. I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know which community I'm a part of. And I just need help. And so Ebony came to birth of me realizing there are other people out there like me. There are other people out there who struggle with trying to figure out, who are they? Where do they come from? Where do they fit in? And that's what she deals with a lot, is where does she fit in? Where do her children fit in? How can she hold it all together, but she's trying to do it by herself? And I learned not too long ago, but in young adulthood, I couldn't do it by myself. I needed help. I needed people I could talk to. And now I'm more sure of who I am than ever. And I love the idea of people embracing their heritage, embracing where they came from, and learning. And that's one of the things that I've had to do, is learn more about my African-American background and the people who made an impact in my life. And I've passed that on to our children, because our children, I say, are all colors of the brown rainbow. We totally look different. And I've had to work with them, understanding who they are, where they came from. Because we have one son who all but looks white, another son who is darker than me, a daughter who looks like she is from India, and a son who no one can figure out what he looks like. He's between all of our colors. So I'm making an effort to help them realize you do have a heritage. And that's, I think, what Ebony deals with in the book, is trying to figure that out. And where does she fit?
I love this, because it's so much part of the human journey, is finding out who we are, why we're here, what our purpose is. And we don't always find that out right away. We're on this path. And I feel like we get to a point where we have this high level of emotional intelligence, and we are able to embrace who we are and where we come from. So I celebrate you and everything that you're doing. And I'm wondering, when you are working with people who are looking to express themselves, their story, their background, where they come from, sometimes, as I mentioned before, in another scenario, people are afraid to confront it because they're afraid of being judged. If we just go along doing what we're doing and fitting in the box, sometimes it seems like people celebrate us. But when we start looking outside the box and saying, wait a minute, I got to find out who I am. When they came out with all these 23andMe, et cetera, and people started finding out who their family members were, possibly, that they didn't know, some people were judging them. So how do you help people deal with the potential judgment that might come from others?
Well, I'll say this. It will come. So you can't run from it. And the whole idea is, how do you deal with it? And part of it is just stepping into the messiness. Sometimes you have to pull back away from it, but you have to be willing to get messy and step out of that box. I think part of what we struggle with as people is we don't like things that are different. And when you are that person who is different, you struggle with, do I step out? Do I stay in? And let me encourage you to step out. It's like what I said. In college, I thought I was the only person. And I found out later on that there were people like me. If you stay quiet, you're not being true to yourself. And eventually you'll burn out or crash. But when you stay true to yourself, even though it can be messy, even at times it can be painful, you won't regret being who you are.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I think it also comes to a point where we decide we're no longer looking for that external validation. We don't need others to say, hey, keep going or way to go. Or no, we just follow our own path. And so I really appreciate you encouraging people to do that. So with writing, with publishing, there comes one piece that as authors we get hung up on, and that is the editing part, because we can edit and edit and edit and edit and edit until we can't do it anymore. So you're a managing editor. Can you tell our audience, what does a managing editor do?
A managing editor looks for those diamonds in the rough that we feel like people are going to want to hear their stories. So I look for those stories that resonate, I think, with other people. And the whole idea is I help and direct people to move forward. With in-game press, if we have an opening, I try to get them into the process of getting published. And as a managing editor, I've done it for 3 different publishing houses. And what I've learned is there are people who do have stories, and those books need to be published. And I'm willing to take a chance on those who don't initially have a huge platform, who are trying to figure out the industry. And I think one of the things I do a little bit differently is I educate people in what that process is all about. Instead of, oh, I like your book, let's move forward. It's like, well, what does that look like? And if we don't move forward, what can you do to help get your book published? Because I don't publish every writer I come in contact with. But if they want coaching or direction, I love doing that. I love a teachable writer, because the only way you can learn is by having a mentor or a coach. So I describe the publishing industry in 2 ways. It's 2-sided coin. On one side, you have the writing and the fun, even though you have the editing, but on the other side, you have the business of it, because it is a business, and these companies need to make money. So to realize, yes, you can write, but then what else do you know about the industry? So as a managing editor, that's part of what I try to do to help the writers. I've even gone so far as when we have a writer that doesn't fit, I try to find them a house that works. And that's not something everyone does, but if I really believe in an author, I'll do it. I actually told one author, if we weren't going to publish her, which I found out we were not, I'd become an agent if I needed to, just to help her find a house. When I believe in you as a writer, I really believe in you. So that's what I do. I come alongside writers and try to point them in the direction of publication.
Edwina, thanks for sharing that. Who is a good client for you? For people who are watching now or listening later or watching later, who is it that would be great for you to partner with and they should reach out?
I love partnering with people of color and their stories. That's the main thing I'm looking for. I look for fiction, I look for nonfiction, and that also makes a difference. I also encourage people not just reach out to me, but attend a writers conference, because there's so many more people who could be interested in your story than myself. And one of the things I like about that is when you come to a conference, if you're not a fit for what I'm doing, and I know someone who's at that conference who you would do well with, I'll direct you to them. So don't just leave it with me and be a one and done, but that is what I'm looking for, is stories about people of color. And if you are writing about an ethnic group outside of your own community, you got to do your homework because it's got to be authentic. You need to be sensitive to how you are representing that community. And you don't want to go with stereotypes or tropes. And I help with that as well. I answered a lot of things in that one question.
No, that was terrific. And so you are an award-winning writer, and you also are a teacher. You have a teacher's background. So you just mentioned about doing research. Can you delve into that a little bit deeper? Because to some people, research is I go on Google and I put in one thing and it comes up with something, and then there's my research.
I love that you asked that, because I tell people Google is not your God. It's a great place to start. It's not a great place to finish. So when I say research, get involved with the community. Even if you go, well, I don't know where to go. Well, we have so many different communities and ethnic groups that a little bit of search wouldn't hurt. Research the people. First, you can start with Google, but then how do you find them in the community? Even with online opportunities like, other avenues where you can get started, but the best way to research is when you can meet someone from that community. Another way to research is have someone with the marginalized community you're writing about read some of what you write. That's also research because you're learning from them. You're getting tips on, did I do it right? Am I saying something wrong? That's also part of research. Research is not just a flat screen or flat piece of paper. It's 3D. You have to go deep. You have to reach out to the people and acknowledge what you don't know. Research does not make you an expert in whatever you're writing. So it's important to be able to go to someone and say, hey, I want to write about this. I know you're a part of that community, and I don't know how to connect this. You've got to do that. And sometimes people are still going to be offended. They're not going to want to talk to you, but that's going to be the case. That's when I say it gets messy. That's when it gets messy. But don't give up. If God has given you a story on your heart and you're like, but I'm not a part of that community, then he wants you to get involved and find out what you can about. And so that's research. Just remember, Google is not your God. AI is not your God. And it takes some digging.
I love that. And it's really, to me, also separating the emotion from the research, because sometimes we can cloud what we believe is the research and skew it to the way we want it to come across. So working with someone like you and realizing that having a mentor, having a team of people even to run things back and forth on it, then if you get people who are not emotionally invested in the project, sometimes that also helps.
It does. And that leads me into sharing about a sensitivity reader, because they're not an editor. That's not their goal. Their goal is to make sure that you're authentic in your writing about their community. And the whole idea is not like an editor will make marks or make comments, but a sensitivity reader will say, okay, let me encourage you to write this differently, and here's why. So you're being educated on both sides, because it allows the sensitivity reader to welcome you into their community. And that's what I need people to understand. It's not, they're not judging your writing, they're not censoring it, but they are saying, if you want people like me to read what you write, then here's some ways to help that happen. And so that is extremely important. So if you can go into with a sensitivity reader or even an editor with a teachable heart, that's one of the things I look for with people I coach and mentor, is how teachable are you? We can grow together, we can learn together, because some of the things I suggest, even as a sensitivity reader, you can say no to. You have the final word, and I'm not going to push back. I'll just tell you what I would encourage. And even with editing, unless it's grammatical, if it's content, I say, well, consider this. And they go, no, I don't want to. All right, you have the final say. And that's when you have to make sure the person you're working with, you trust. It's a mutual connection. If you don't trust your sensitivity reader or your editor, you're going to push back. But if you have mutual respect, that's the only way it's going to work. And even with, I have kind of a small team right now of sensitivity readers, but even your reader needs to be able to connect with you. So if I've sent them something and, just ask, do you think you can work with this author? They have the choice of saying yes and no. And I respect when they say no, because then they're saying I won't be able to give them everything they need. And I have said that to authors because I don't know everything. Don't come to me and expect me, oh, she's a person of color, so she's going to know things about every person of color. No, it doesn't work that way. I will tell you if I can help you. I will tell you if I have someone that I think can help you. And I'll also tell you if I cannot find anyone.
Edwina, I love to learn new things, and I've never heard of a sensitivity reader for writers. That's hard to say, readers for writers. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to follow up with you about that. I think that's really important. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Blue Ridge Conference. Tell us about your role here and what it is.
The Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference is the largest Christian writers conference in the nation. We meet once a year, and it's usually the last week of May. And what I do is I co-direct. So I help select the faculty. I look at, one of the main things I do is I vet people who apply for scholarships, and which I just love giving away somebody else's money. But we want people to be able to come. So if finances is an issue, we want to help alleviate some of that. As a co-director, I work year round. We have a website, a Facebook group, and just a team as we get together and decide where do we go from here. We're about to start a program called Mentoring Moments, and that's a way to help people get involved with learning about the conference. And like it says, changing the world one writer at a time, that's our goal. And to help just you be the best writer you can be. At Blue Ridge, we have faculty who are agents, who are editors, who are own publishing houses. So if you want a plethora of information, this is where you're going to get it. The workshops, we have over 80 workshops, I think an hour you can attend. So the question is, I can't go to 80 workshops in an hour. Well, that's why you get the MP3. And all these people that are coming, for everyone that you're seeing, we've probably had to tell 2 other faculty, no, you can't come because we don't have the room. So this is a conference where all of the faculty apply to be with Blue Ridge, and we as a team have to decide who can we have this year. And that's so hard because everyone who submits an application, they're so gifted. And this year, particularly, if you ever consider a writer conference, it's the 50th year of Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference. So there's a lot of things that we're going to do that we normally don't do. And if you really want to experience a conference that's going to, okay, here's a cliche, knock your socks off, this is the one to come to.
That is truly impressive. Just scrolling down and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, how many people are actually involved, in the fact that you had to turn some people away at the current moment. Congratulations. It's amazing.
we have a leadership team of 5. And so when we start looking at the faculty, oh, you talk about praying. We're like, okay, God, we need direction. We need wisdom. And we do have a point where we go, okay, who's the one person you absolutely have to have? And a number of times we select the same person. But then we have to go through, okay, let's look at what they offer. Let's look at what they can, help our writers with. Because our goal isn't to just showcase these people in the industry. We want them to be able to help writers. And if we don't have a sense that that's going to happen, then they're not going to be invited to be faculty. But so there's 5 of us, and we have to select right at 60 faculty. And probably this year, because I also gathered all the applications that were coming in, we had over 120 faculty or individuals who applied to be faculty. So it really is a big deal when you get accepted. It's a conference where we have right at 600 people, and we cap at 600. So I've told people this year, if you want to come, if you think about coming, sign up. Because for a couple of years, we had to turn people away. We were at capacity. And one time we were at capacity a week before the conference registration closed. So look into it, consider it, especially if you're a serious writer or if you're a beginner and you're like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. This is a conference for you. Because I can honestly say every faculty member there wants to see you succeed.
And Edwina, are there any certain requirements that you're looking for from faculty, people who are interested in applying?
We look definitely for agents and editors because we want to help get the writers connected there. Faculty who have somewhat of a platform, are known in the industry, and who works well with people. I mean, that might sound terrible, but sometimes you have, editors, agents, even publishing houses that don't work well. And we look for faculty with that servant's heart. A lot of them we know because I always say the industry's not that big and people talk. And so we may hear someone that people have said, oh, I learned so much from this person. Well, if they send in an application, we're more likely to say, yes, we need to have this person. So we look for people with some experience in the industry and who have something that they can teach to the conferees.
Thank you so much. And we have all of your contact details for people who are interested. They're all there in the show notes. So Edwina, we are on Iconic Women, and I feel like as Iconic Women, we have a role in this world to inspire. And I'd love to hear some inspiring words that you would like to share with our audience, given what's going on in the world and people fighting people and the social media posts that are just filled with so much hate. How can we come together? What are your thoughts as an iconic woman?
Think before you speak. Check your emotions and check your reason for speaking out is one of the things that I would say. And there are times when I've even thought, it's not what I say, but it's how I say it. And what I do say, could I say in front of my children? That's one of the things. Use your voice. If you're going to use your actions, do so in a way that is honoring to other people and an honoring reflection of yourself. Don't just launch off with your emotions. There are lots of things going on right now that I just have to bite my tongue because of the way I want to respond. But then I think, okay, what's the best way to respond? Because if you put a match to kindling, it's going to blaze into a fire. Do you want to be that matchstick to burn everything down? Or do you want to be that light to show people a different way? So are you going to be a light or matchstick? And you have to decide that. But the main thing is think before you speak, think before you write, and what you say will come back around. I'm not going to say that it haunts you, but I will say it will come back around. And you don't want your integrity to be impacted by something you said out of an emotional response.
That was absolutely beautiful. I couldn't have said it any better myself. And it's interesting because right behind you, you have a map of the world. And we always think the world is so big, which it is, but it's actually quite small because the word does get around when people are negative and they're instigators or they're just perpetuating the negative message. So I really appreciate your positivity. And one of the call outs that I have, you mentioned about being coachable. Let's be open and curious and receptive from people we respect, people who are leaders, people who are iconic like Edwina. So Edwina, what is the best way for people to get in touch with you is my first question. And then just to bring it back in again, who would you like to reach out to you?
I think the best way to get a hold of me is through my website. And it will also show you just what I talk about, what I teach. They'll give you an idea also of kind of the writers I'm trying to reach. The other thing with getting in contact with me is realize I do work with a lot of people. And so I check my web as often as possible. I am a little bit harder to get a hold of on Facebook, although I try to work with that. But yes, that is the best way to get a hold is through the website.
Thank you very much. And for those who are listening on a podcast only platform, they're not watching, tell us a little bit about Colors of the Home and where people can purchase this, please.
Colors of Home will be coming out a little later this spring, and it would be the best place to purchase right now would be Amazon. But more information will come out about that. And we're already working on when to start the pre-orders. So that's where I would start is Colors of Home. You'll be able to find it on Amazon, but it'll be later in the spring.
All right. Thank you very much. And Edwina, anything that I did not ask you today that you really want to share with our audience before we close out?
As a writer, and really in any area that you're a part of, being creative or an iconic woman, you need to realize that in a way you need to develop rhino skin and you will still bleed. And what that means is you need to be able to approach the hard things and know that it can still hurt, because rhino skin is the toughest mammal skin there is in the world. And if they can still bleed, so can we. So don't let being knocked down one time, two times stop you for what you feel that you're called to do. Don't let anyone steal your calling, and just keep moving forward.
Thank you so much. That really resonates with me. And I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. And I hope you'll come back and see us on one of our other shows.
I would love to. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you, Edwina. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for everyone who's watching or listening. So many gold nuggets that were shared by Edwina today. And I think I'd like to just sum it up by saying this. We as humans get to make choices, and we get to show up every day making a choice. So the choice is this, is what you're saying, is what you're posting, is what you're emailing, texting. Is it kind? Is it necessary? And is it true? And is it really truth that can be corroborated by multiple parties, or is it us taking the truth and shaping it the way that we want it to be? It all comes out one way or another. And so I'm just grateful to have someone like Edwina who's here today. She is an iconic woman. I hope you will reach out to her. All the contact details are there in the show notes. So now we're going over to our sponsors, and we're coming back with our next show. If you haven't subscribed yet, let me bring up our slide so you can do so. We have 2 YouTube channels. We're actually streaming live to 8 platforms right now. But if you go over to our YouTube channels, we get real information from YouTube. So it's USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Okay, I'm going to sign off for now. If you want to get in contact with me or anyone on my team, you can go to our website. The notes are there, and it's usaglobaltv.com. All right, thank you so much. We'll be back shortly.
Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In a world quick to judge, one book dares to reveal the hidden cost of silence. Discover holy but harmful, the silent sin of judgment, how hidden judgments destroy relationships and damage lives, by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. The Amazon #1 bestseller that's transforming the way we understand ourselves and the way we see others. Pick up the companion workbook to uncover your own hidden judgments and learn how to break free from them. Available now on Amazon and at fine bookstores worldwide.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.